Hello and welcome to the first ever trader review. We're going to try and get a new trader on each week and do a review just so we can try and give everyone at home some good ideas on who to follow, mainly on Twitter. So as you'll see with our first guest here, I've named this presentation Pass the Dip, and you'll see why in just a moment when we cross to our very first trader, the one and only Bhavdip143. For those of you who don't know this account, you really want to be following this account if you're trading stocks. And the ASX particularly, you definitely want to be following this one. And even in the US, if you're doing some stuff over there, he posts some great stuff on that as well. So, across the board, good content, definitely worth a follow. So let's get into it. Okay, the first thing you'll notice here is he's got just under 5,000 followers, and just want to touch on why that's important for a second. Unfortunately, when you're crushing the markets and making money like Barb is, sometimes you'll get a few pretenders and wannabes, and that'll try to open up other accounts. And unfortunately, that is or has happened a couple of times here. So, those other accounts, they've got 45 followers or something like that, 45 idiots basically. Whereas the real account you'll see will have just under 5,000 followers, and it's sort of a wisdom of the crowd type theory as well too. 5,000 people can't be wrong. So you've probably got smart followers in there too, and that's important. Probably a mixture of doctors, scientists, those type of people. So that's always comforting to get us started. So we'll start scrolling through his page here. The first thing you'll notice as we do, a lot of content. Barb posts a lot of content. Your average smart person will think of something clever to say every couple of hours. You might get 2, 3, 4 tweets at most. The great thing about Barb is he's got something smart to say every 10 minutes or so. So he just keeps getting it out there, and you get that constant news flow all day. It's just fantastic. It's really one of the best accounts to follow if you want that continuous feed. So we're just scrolling through here. He likes Donald Trump. A lot of Donald Trump stuff. That's good. Scrolling down, we'll see what else he's got here. Again, a lot of content. This is all in just within an hour or two. Down here, some good stuff. Okay, this is a good spot to stop because I really like this tweet here. These tweets in particular. So you'll see what he's done here is he's put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he's put 8 stocks in the one tweet. I mean, how good is that, right? So, we all love making 200 or 300% on a stock, but we haven't all got time to waste on that sort of stuff. So it's great that he's put it all in one tweet here, where we can implement 8 ideas in one go. So just running a bit of basic maths, 100% to play with. He's got his 8 stocks, so that's you can put 20, 25% into each stock. Give yourself a nice little portfolio, and you're going to make lots of bags. And importantly, even if 1 or 2 don't do well, the rest will cover. I just love those tweets. It's so innovative. We'll keep moving down here. All right, flippers. Yeah, what's lists? Okay, yeah, this is good too. This is another way you can check that you're following someone good. So people like to make these lists of who to follow, basically. And they're typically great. I mean, I'm just reading through these names. I recognize most of those names. They're all really good traders. The fact that they've included Bhavdip in that type of company is a massive tick of approval. I mean, you don't get on a list like that unless you're the real deal. So, that's just some more validation that we're onto a good thing here. Okay, keep scrolling down. This is what I said. It's like a lot to get through here. So what we might do is go to the ones I bookmarked just to save us a little bit of time. So, I want you to have a look at this one. And, the main reason is once you begin to follow Barb for a while, you'll start to get accustomed to his style and get your head around what he's doing. He really likes to use emojis. So that's something to take note of. You'll see here the double kiss, the 2 rockets, the charts heading to the sky, classic Barb emojis. He's also pretty big on the TNT dynamite emoji. So, you'll see that one come out a bit. But I really want to focus in on the most important part, which is the rockets. So, I've learned after following Barb for a while now that the rockets tell the story. Much like a chartist uses volume to really determine just how high conviction a move is, you can actually use Barb's rockets in much the same way. So, the more rockets, the better, of course, in summary. But it's a little more nuanced than that, and we're about to get into that. So you'll see here, this is a 2-rocket stock. So you might be scrolling along and you think, oh yeah, BLZ, I've heard of that. That's a good stock. And then you scroll down and you're like, 2 rockets. I might let that one go, You're going to be scrolling later in the day. You're going to see your 4, 5, 6 rocket stocks, and you're going to want to have your capital free to jump on those fast. And I mean fast because, they will move, sometimes 200-300% in a day. So you just got to pick and choose the right spots, and really focus in on those rockets. So I've been collecting data and on all this type of stuff, and it took me about a week, maybe even longer, to build a model where I could actually use to analyze some of Barb's data here. So I built a pretty complex model. Now, this is a proprietary custom model. Not everyone's going to have access to this type of analysis at home, and that's fine. But it's going to give us some good insight into. So I'm just going to bring it up on the screen here. So one great thing about Barb is he puts these great tweets out, and one that gets really, people really excited is when he talks about his stock going to the moon. I don't typically get as excited about the moon stocks, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But you see the traders, this one's going to the moon, 5 rocket stock off to the moon. But, to me, when I hear the moon, I just think, you've capped the upside. Sure, it's a great stock, but I mean, once it hits that moon, it can't go any further. So, that's where this online model I've built comes in handy. So what I did, and I'll just bring it up here as I tweet, I just calculated, or Googled, the distance to the moon. Let's bring it up on the screen. There we go. And, it brought out, 238,000 miles. But then I did the circumference of the Earth, which I think is a much more accurate measurement for what we're trying to do here. And it actually said that the Earth is 30 Earths to the moon. So the circumference of the Earth is 30. So distance to the moon, this is how we use this calculator. We put in distance to the moon, 30.4. divided by, we'll just use a 6 rocket stock in this example. 6 rockets equals 5.06666. Now this number here is the representation of how many bags you can expect to make by jumping on this stock. Some people prefer to work in percentages, and I get that. So what you can do is times by 100, and that will give you 506.6%. So when you see that, this tweet's going to the moon, 6 rocket stock, that's fantastic, but just know you have to be realistic. You're probably going to have your upside capped when the moon is in play. The suggestion here is, 506% return. You might get a little more out of that, but I don't think you're going to get much more, on a stock that's going to the moon. It's always going to have, that overhang. It's always going to be in the way. So, look, my preference is for non-moon stocks. Some of this isn't Barb's fault. I mean, maybe Twitter need to work on a Saturn or a Jupiter emoji or something like that, where Barb can, better express exactly what he's thinking. But until that happens, we can only work with what we've got. So that's kind of the technical analysis of Bhavdip's stuff. But just for a moment, I'll reset this. We'll cross over and do a little bit of fundamentals because, that's always important too. So I think the best metric that I've discovered after really paying attention is, I like to call it the DR ratio. It stands for dynamite to rockets. And basically, when you see a 5 rocket stock with 2 sticks of dynamite, then to me, the dynamite kind of represents the risk, It's kind of saying it's a 5 rocket stock, but, beware, dynamite, there is some blow up risk here. So again, we can come back to the online calculator and really do some good stuff. Let's take our 5 rockets And if we subtract the 2 sticks of dynamite minus 2, it equals, of course, like I said, not everyone has this, but this is the type of stuff we're doing. So you'll see 3. So you've got a 3 rocket stock. So, just be aware that dynamite makes a big difference. What was a 5 rocket stock, is now only valued as a 3 rocket stock. So, that's the sort of thing you need to be a little bit careful of, and, there's going to be probably better ones out there than that. Anyway, let's get back to the feed and see what else we can discover. Just on Bar's feed, I mentioned some people like to read his Hot Copper stuff, and Hot Copper's great because you can post a much longer, note, whereas Twitter you're restricted to only so many characters. So Bar will post this great note on Hot Copper. I checked it out. All this valuable information like what date the IPO is going to be, what time it's going to come online, how many bags he thinks he'll make when it opens. All that type of great stuff. But then I'm thinking, well, without emojis, which Hot Copper doesn't have, then what good is this? Without those rocket emojis, I can't get a gauge or a sense for just how much he likes it. So, use Hot Copper as a tool, but I think you're going to get more out of his tweets. Okay, that might just be me, I'm not sure. But anyway, scrolling on through his feed. Okay, one final thing I think we'll probably touch on is you'll notice on his feed, you get some of these, these idiots, they'll post stupid questions. This guy here, Arrow Trader, trades. He posts stupid questions and, it happens all the time to Barb. And the best thing about Barb is he doesn't reach straight for the block button, like some people would. In fact, I think he's got a really short list of only 5 or maybe 10,000 people that he's blocked. But that's it. The rest is fair game. So he'll actually engage with these guys. This Arrow Trade, is a he's a real dick basically. In short, you have a read through his tweets, you quickly realise he's got no idea what he's talking about. But Barb will engage with him. He'll banter, he'll push back. He tends to own these guys pretty quick. As you'd expect. So just have a bit of a look here. So this guy writes, no joke. And I'm sure there are no examples of companies that are trading below their IPO stag profit price. I don't even know what that means, but anyway, Barb writes back, none that I bought on market. UWL at 18 cents. So I had a look at that. That's like $1.60. APX, $2.30. Now like mid-30s. EMV, I've never even heard of EMV, but I can tell you one thing for sure. It's a lot higher than 33 cents. Goes on to say, of course, you need to be selective. Otherwise you'll lose money regardless, But, in short, destroys this guy. Absolutely crushes him, puts him back in his place. You won't hear from this guy for a couple of weeks, this Arrow guy. He's off crying in a corner somewhere, eating humble pie. And, when he does get up the gumption to come back in a couple of weeks, Barb will be ready and, he'll destroy him again. So that's one of the great things. The guy's got a great sense of humor. You're getting the stocks, you're getting the information, you're making money, but, you're having a laugh along the way. And that's important. And, he has a lot of banter with a lot of these guys. This person is one of them. And, I think that... it's a great follow, not just for the trading, but for the entertainment. So, in summary, I can't recommend highly enough that you give Bhavdip143 a follow. You won't regret it. Great content, great entertainment, well worth it. Thanks for joining us, and join us again next week. We'll have a new trader and we'll do it all again. Okay, thanks.